What's up, guys? Welcome back to Ludwick's Garage. My name is John, and in this episode we are closing out 2025 with a look at where we've been for the last year, what projects we've somewhat got done, projects we may have acquired in the last year, and projects that we still have yet to finish. It's kind of become an annual thing where the last video of the year I kind of talk about all the projects. For anyone new to the channel who may not have seen some of the other pieces of junk I have laying around. Basically, as far as everything automotive is concerned, let's talk about everything I own. And by the end of this episode, I too will probably realize I do truly have a problem. So to start the whole video, we're standing in front of my current shop. This is the shop that I moved back home to New Hampshire to work out of. I'm from the Lakes region of New Hampshire originally, spent most of my time here, although I did move around the country quite a bit throughout my younger years, throughout my career in freestyle BMX. Took me all over the place, but I always ended up coming home to New Hampshire. Now, I grew up in a garage. My father owned a repair shop, but also raced cars, was a fabricator, had a private garage at home where he did most of his fabrication out of, doing custom exhaust work and kind of modifying friends' cars and whatnot. So last fall, Kayla and I moved back to New Hampshire because this is where we ultimately wanted to lay our roots. This is where my family still lives. And as most of you know, my father and I do a lot of this stuff together, and I'm really close with my family and just wanted to be close to them in their older years. Now, my friend Ross purchased this property that we're currently on, so I rent this shop from him. Future plans are to hopefully build or own. That is hopefully the next move from here. So basically a two-bay shop, sub-level shop too, unfortunately. We've got an upper bay and a lower bay, so we have a step inside the shop. Not ideal, but grateful to have moved home to New Hampshire to have a shop to work out of. My father and I put this man door in. This wasn't here at all. You had to enter the shop through an overhead door or through that man door right there in the barn. So here we are. I think it's about 900 square feet total, including the laser room, which is over here. When you first come in the door, we've got our upper bay here, old concrete, not that level or flat. Over here in the lift bay, we do have a polished level floor, which is perfect. That's why we ended up putting the lift in there. That window opening wasn't there. This was just a closed off two bay space, essentially. These doors were manual. When we first moved up here, Ross had them upgraded with side motors, which are amazing. They're super quiet and out of the way since we didn't have a lot of overhead space. We brought my Benpack Grand Prix 7LC lift up from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I purchased it while I was down there. That is a 10-foot overhead two-post lift. We don't have 12-foot space here. So we can't lift cars up as high as we'd really like to, unfortunately, but truly blessed to have a lift. So my father and I put this opening in, totally renovated the space in here. This used to be a hallway to the door that goes into the larger, lower building of the barn. We squeezed my laser machine in here, which is what I do most days for work. I make merchandise out of leather, wood, and acrylics by laser cutting and laser engraving. But we basically rebuilt this entire room. You could see outside. The stringers are all rotted. We redid all the stringers, all the walls, insulated it, plywooded it, lit it, painted it, opened this up because there was a wall right here. So it's all one room now. We do have a window here in the room looking north out to our neighbors, but from up top on the property, you actually have a view of the White Mountains here in New Hampshire. You can kind of see them through the trees there. So yeah, this is the breadwinner of the shop, basically, where I still take on commission work, making leather key rings and other sorts of merchandise. But luckily, because of you guys, I've been able to spend more and more time working on the car projects and focusing on the YouTube channel, which is arguably way more work, but I am super excited and super thankful that I can spend more time building these cars and creating content and making videos for you guys. So super humble, small shop. I've been trying to keep this upper bay open enough to fit the Auto Union or some of my small cars. If I ever need to get something inside quickly, I'd like to have this open. We do have more tooling coming where I think I might have to fill some of this bay out, but I'd like to keep a lot of things on wheels so we can move things around and be able to pull a car in here if we need to, just temporarily. I built this workbench. This too is on wheels, so I can adjust the feet, set it down on the casters and move that around if I want to, but haven't really needed to. We built this railing too, you might remember. I built this railing to separate the two bays. I still want to paint like a yellow brim here to kind of remind people that there is a 12-inch step down right here. But to basically keep myself from accidentally stepping off of it over here, I built this railing, end caps and all, that doubles as my metal stock rack. So as you can see, we've got some sticks of material on the rack now. Now we're not gonna spend too much time here in the shop. We're gonna get right to talking about the cars. We designed and laser cut this sign in-house with wood and acrylic. Doesn't really fit on a white wall like it did on a black wall down in Tennessee. But we turned the back air compressor room into a bathroom most recently. You guys saw that in the most recent episodes. That's in, warm, insulated, ready to go. Got ourselves a toilet, slop sink with a little hot water heater. Perfect addition to the shop. Well, that's it for the shop. We'll talk more about what's going on in the shop in some future episodes heading into 2026. Let's get talking about the cars. The 1960 Auto Union 1000 SP. You guys have seen this a lot on the channel recently, but we'll start with this one since we're here in the shop. And I'm sure a lot of you guys already know everything about this car. German built, the company that ultimately turned into Audi after Volkswagen acquired them. Only 5,000 of these 1000 SPs ever made. They were a frame car, 3-cylinder, 2-stroke front-wheel drive car, which is just mental. Quick history lesson, as you guys have heard me say time and time again on the channel, the 4 rings that are still seen on Audis today signify the 4 companies that built up Auto Union: Audi, DKW, Wanderer, and Horch, which is just the coolest thing in my opinion. This car is often mistaken for a 57 T-Bird when simply seen in photos, and it is known as the baby T-Bird because of the 57 T-Bird looking rear end, the big fins, single taillights. I did recently post a beginning to end full build video just a few episodes back, so go back and watch that to get all the details on this car, what it was, where I found it, what we did to it. But the cliff notes are, it was on Marketplace, it was in a town called Hinckley, Ohio, about 12 hours from here. Had to have it, just had to have this car. Had never seen one in person, had certainly never seen one bagged. Put it down over a 1959 Volkswagen Beetle pan with a tube chassis that I built inside it. We custom built everything in this car. We designed the seats. My friend Nick from Western Mass Waterworks upholstered them for me. Floor extensions, the tube chassis, which you can't really see inside the body anymore. Custom pedal cluster. We made the door cards using the original trim. This car is running the Airlift Performance 3H system, and I put the manifold on the rear firewall here. Now that the motor's in the back, we firewalled everything, closed everything off. This was the first time I ever did hardlines with an air suspension system. I designed and laser cut that black bulkhead fitting plate that mounts to the firewall itself. Also laser engraved and laser cut that custom Airlift manifold plate with the colorway that matches the car. Custom shifter, custom air suspension controller stand, which the controller is not currently in. This car is definitely one of my favorites in the fleet. Now, as many of you know, this car went to SEMA in Las Vegas this year. The last half of 2025 for me was just working on this car. It was really, really difficult, but we got it done, and it runs and drives. We still have a lot to finish there, lots of wiring to finish. But this car will start from the driver's seat and it will move under its own power. Because of how slim the car is, we're running a Type 3 motor in the back. I tried running a Puma shroud on a Type 1 motor, but it just wouldn't fit. So 59 pan, link pin, kingpin front end. Still running the split case crash box in the back, which we will be cycling out and running a different transmission with a Type 3 motor, utilizing the Eva Resto bolt-on swing arm air suspension system, front and rear. Really grateful to have been working with Max from Eva Resto on this car. We're running a 2-inch narrowed beam up front with their custom air shocks. So if you guys have any air-cooled Volkswagen of any generation, IRS rear, swing arm rear, doesn't matter, Brazilian air-cooled cars, hit up Eva Resto for any of your suspension needs. They are wizards at getting these cars lower to the ground or even higher off the ground. And have to mention the wheels because they're a set of my dream wheels. 1982 magnesium BBS E50s, rebuilt the lips, barrels, hardware. We 3D printed the center caps, and I laser cut and laser engraved the gold center with the Auto Union rings on it. Definitely stoked on the wheels. Tires I had to ship from England, 165/45 16s, so we could get the rear as low as possible. All right, that's enough on the Auto Union. You guys have seen enough content on that car, and there's more coming because we're deep in some motor issues on that thing. Let's go outside. We'll talk about what's here on this property, and then we'll head over to my father's shop where I have some of the big junk. All right, guys, right outside, we have my 1995 OBS Ford F250. This has the 7.3 Power Stroke in it. It's an XLT. It was ordered with every option. As far as I know, every option you could get in 1995, including the keyless entry, which I think was first introduced in 1995. I still have the fob and it still works. So I can still lock and unlock the truck remotely. Such cool tech for 1995, at least for a Ford work truck, even though that tech had existed for a while. I bought this truck down in Gadsden, Alabama. Gadsden, Alabama, where it spent its entire life. This truck has never seen salt, other than just a couple of times I've had to take it down the road here in New Hampshire. I've stored it the last 2 winters we've been back home. It's got almost 300,000 miles on it, and it looks like it's got 30 on it. Not a single rust blister started anywhere on this truck. I almost can't believe how solid it is every time I see it. Has the original Alcoa wheels that it was ordered with the original Ford stamped hubcaps. I was missing the rear ones when I bought this truck, but I had to have the Ford stamped OEM ones, so I found some new old stock ones, which are not cheap. I think they were close to a couple $100s a piece. After scouring eBay and everywhere on the marketplace looking for a pair, but ended up buying some new old stock ones, which definitely fit on the truck. I moved to the 8x10 gooseneck tow mirrors, but as you guys know, I had to have the Ford stamped ones. They're side specific, even though they're symmetrical mirrors. The Ford stamping is only upright on left and right. So, you know, I went down the rabbit hole trying to find some original equipment for this truck to make it as period correct and as original as possible. I'm even running the Cooper AT3 tires on this, which are a period correct look for the truck, kind of like a pizza cutter all-terrain tire, but don't have a lot of road noise going down the highway, which is where this truck spends most of its time now, hauling the cars to shows. It's an E40D, so it's an automatic. It's not my favorite transmission of all time. I don't know if it's anyone's favorite transmission of all time. The four-door dually OBS I had before this, which was an IDI 7.3 non-turbo, was a ZF5 handshaker. I would love to have a 5 or 6-speed manual in this truck. It's worth doing the swap to because it's not like we're working with a rotted truck where you don't really want to put any time or effort into. So perhaps in the future, we might do a manual swap in this thing as we climb in the mileage. The transmission's starting to do some funky things here and there. We are headed to South Florida for Eurotripper here in a few weeks with this thing, and I haven't driven it since the beginning of November, so I'm gonna have to get it out, stretch its legs a little bit, which unfortunately will mean driving it around here in New Hampshire before we leave for Florida. But that's a look at the current Ludwick's Garage tow rig, one of my favorite trucks ever built. My father had a towing business, my uncle owns a paving business, my grandfather owned an excavation business, and they all owned these trucks brand new back in the 90s. So that international 7.3 Power Stroke sound is ingrained in my childhood. Some of my most formative memories are this truck's sounds and noises and smells. So it's real nostalgic for me to own one of these trucks, listen to it run, and actually drive it. We'll talk about all of the equipment I own. This was the first car trailer I ever bought. Up until this point, I was using my father's open trailer, just borrowing it whenever I wanted to go to shows or needed to go buy a car or anything like that. And my father's never had an enclosed car trailer. And every time I'd see one cruising down the road, especially behind a cool truck, I always thought like they made it in some way. Like having an enclosed car trailer behind a cool truck was just, I don't know, it just seemed like the craziest thing ever to me. I'd ordered this trailer brand new from a company down in Georgia and figured I'd pick it up on my way down to Turkey Rod Run. So I left here with the Corvair on a U-Haul trailer, picked this up once I got to Georgia, and finished the entire trip with my brand new enclosed car trailer. That was back before prices got crazy, so I'm glad I got in when I did. I think this trailer was like $4,100, which is just crazy. It's a Southern built trailer. There are much better built trailers out there, but it served every purpose that I've needed it for so far, including winter storage for some of the cars. So it's 24 foot to the box, and the V-nose is added interior space. So it's got a little bit more than 24 feet inside the trailer, 7,000 pound trailer with twin 3,500 pound axles. It's been a great trailer and I've hauled it all over this country. Also purchased in Alabama was my 24 foot open trailer. Now, having an enclosed trailer was awesome and a dream come true, honestly, but hauling that thing around to go look at cars I wanted to purchase or just go to a local show with on a fair weather day was a lot. It was a lot to haul this thing out of here, and I wanted something real easy that I could mount a winch to, something I could take on some of these recovery missions if I wanted to buy a car deep in the woods, which happens more often than not. I really wanted and needed an open trailer. So I purchased this when I was living down in Tennessee, so it really wasn't that far to go to Alabama to get this trailer. So I technically paid more for this open trailer than I did for my enclosed trailer, which is crazy. But just in that few years, you could see how far the trailer market had jumped. So this too is a 7,000 pound trailer. We have twin 3,500 pound axles. And I have realized that with a 24-foot open trailer, I can indeed haul two of my cars, and not just the same two. I can haul the Corvair, the 1000 SP, and a few other cars in different configurations on this trailer. It's tight, but we can do it safely, which is crazy. This 24-foot single car trailer has ultimately turned into a Ludwick's Garage 2-car trailer. Oh yeah, and also I should mention that there's a car that I do own now that you guys don't know about, that you will soon, that's actually coming home from Florida with the 1000 SP on this trailer. So if you subscribe to the Patreon, you guys know what I'm talking about. You've seen photos of this car. It's a car I've been after for like 20 some odd years. Yeah, we don't need to get into that right now. But if you've subscribed to the Patreon, you guys know what we're bringing home from Florida. So just in a few weeks, you'll see the 1000 SP and another car on this trailer, hopefully making it all the way home from 1,500 miles away. All right, well, I actually forgot that the Corvair was in here when we started filming this episode. So we're not really going to have a good view of this car. This is a 1965 Corvair Monza by Chevrolet. It's a late model. They made these from 60 to 69, and from 65 to 69 was the second gen, which is what this one is. My father and I chopped the roof on this 2 inches. So this has a 2-inch roof chop, and we've bagged it with custom suspension, front and rear. We built a whole custom front cross member, staying with the whole aviation bomber theme. Overhead toggle switch panel, overhead fuse panel, big tall shifter because I like big old trucks. This car is also running the Airlift 3H air suspension system, and I've put the manifold right there on the dash with a custom laser engraved manifold plate. I think all the cars I have on air suspension are running the Airlift 3H system. It's been a robust system, and I really, really like it. Laser cut and laser engraved this acrylic like lowrider plate on the rear parcel shelf. That is illuminated as well. You can illuminate that. Perfect patina. This car sat behind a body shop in Chelmsford, Massachusetts since 1973. So this car only saw the road for about 8 years before it was parked, and sat for over 40 years until I found it. It was on Craigslist, and it was in the process of heading to the crusher. The city was on his case about the amount of unregistered junk cars on his property, and he had actively been crushing cars on his property. When I went to look at this, just the spots next to it, you could tell cars had been sitting for years and were no longer there. I paid $400 to quite literally save this car from the crusher. It's a 4-speed manual from the factory as well, which is why I originally bought this car. You don't find the manuals that often anymore, and once I got under it, I realized how solid it was and realized we could actually do something with it. Because it had sat on the pavement. That's key to point out here. It sat on the pavement for 40 years, so the undercarriage didn't rot out like it would if it had been sitting in the grass or the dirt. I'm running 1985 16 by 9.5 Japanese 3-piece Epsilon Southern Ways. They're a 5-spoke, 3-piece motorsport wheel. They're some of my favorite wheels ever made. So those have been on this car for well over a decade now. I just can't get myself to get excited to change the wheels on this thing. They just fit. 5-spoke wheel just works on these things, and the market on those wheels have gone way crazier than when I bought them. Well, that's a look at my trailers and the chop top Corvair. Before we leave the property, let's head up to the other garage, and we'll talk about a few of the cars that are up there as well. All right, so the current daily driver, the 2005 Volkswagen Phaeton. Yep. Brave and daring to own and drive a Volkswagen Phaeton, to daily drive one in single-digit temps. here in New Hampshire, but they're all-wheel drive. And this one is the 4.2 liter V8. This is the V8 that was tried and true in the Audi A8s. The W12 models were scratching at the six-figure mark when they were here in America from 04 to 06. This one's a 2005. This still would have retailed for over $60,000 in 2005, which is why they only sold 800 of them in all of the US in 2005. We did a video on this car too when I first picked it up, talked a lot about that, so jump back if you want to know more about this car and what the Phaeton was, including an entire factory they built in Dresden, Germany to just build this car. Now you'll notice this one's sitting lower than factory. Now that was the original plan when I bought this car, was to lower it, most easily done with the lowering links, which trick the factory air suspension into lowering the car, thinking that's where it needs to be sitting. Unfortunately, it decided to do that all on its own because Phaeton things. So I have been daily driving it on a lowered setup here in the snow, which has been fine. It's overall been an amazing car. Heated seats still work. It's got incredible heat overall. Sound system's great. And it's just a super comfortable car. And being all-wheel drive, it's been great here in the snow. I will be selling this soon though. As I do with all my daily drivers, I just get bored and I want to keep rolling them over. So the Phaeton will be available soon if you are interested in taking on the creme de la creme Volkswagen flagship that was ever built. Bag it, put cool wheels on it, do Bentley stuff on it, because it's basically mirrored on a Continental GT platform. Do some cool stuff to it. I'm gonna daily drive it for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to list it for sale. So keep that in mind. Be brave, be daring. Drive a Phaeton. Oh yeah. The most integral workhorse of the fleet, the Toro snowblower. A true engineering marvel. This thing has put in more work than any other vehicle I own. Bought this used. Starts first pull every single time. You wanna see if that is true? Let's see. You watch, it won't start first pull now. Nice and primed up. Choke, half throttle. One-handed, that'll be my excuse if it doesn't start. And the pull cord doesn't go in all the way. Look at that. Look at that. Ready for work. Goodbye. All right, so up here, you guys know it. My 1960 BMW 700 Sport Coupe. This is a gray market car. This drove the streets of Germany at one point in its life, or mainland Europe at least. They made these cars, I think from 59 to 65. I've always said 60 to 65, but I think 59 might have been the first year. But this is the Sport Coupe. So this had the short roof with the pop-out triangular side glass here. They did make a 700 Saloon, which had a longer roof, with a fixed side window that was much bigger than this. The Sport Coupe had twin carburetors on it, which this did originally from the factory, which makes it super rare. But this car sat in the woods about 45 minutes north of here, up in the woods in New Hampshire for 40 some odd years, growing trees inside of it, rotting its way right down into the ground. I befriended the owner of the property, who has a lot of cars on the property, a few that I would still love to own. For some reason, this is the one I couldn't live without. He's known for not getting rid of anything, but once he saw the twinkle in my eye for this car, he basically gave it to me, which was incredible. So my father and I built this car together. This too is on a Volkswagen Beetle chassis. This is on a 69 IRS pan. So this has a ball joint front beam with the independent rear suspension. We built the tube chassis in this car as well, since there was nothing left to the undercarriage. There was nothing left. We had to actually ratchet strap the body together when we pulled it out of the woods because it was just trying to fall apart on us. The coolest door handles ever. This was before Skyline. How cool is that? And if you recognize Volkswagen Beetles, that certainly is a Beetle floorboard. Had to extend the steering column by about 18 inches or so to get a good driver position to the Beetle pedals in relation to the 700 dashboard. Done a lot of miles in this car, taken it all over the place. Pop out side glass from the factory, just like the 1000 SP. Some of the coolest things that Europe was doing with these cars. during the day. This car originally, rear-engined, 2-cylinder air-cooled car. This was basically one of their motorcycle motors in this thing. This is the successor to the Isetta. They made the Isetta, which is the front opening, tiny little microcar that BMW made. Then they made the Isetta 600, which was a 4-wheeled, a little bit larger version of the Isetta. And then from the 600, they made the 700, which found its way to be a little bit more of an actual car than a clown microcar. I don't have it aired out all the way, but we built this thing so it would lay body. We had to custom build our own rocker panels as well in this thing since that was all rotted out. You can see the line where the body had just ended. But just like the 1000 SP, this car too has the Airlift Performance 3H air suspension system in it. My father and I custom built these wheels. These are factory Beetle steel wheel. But since the body of the 700 was so narrow, we cut the centers of the wheels out, moved them out to a much higher offset and re-welded them. So they're basically like a drop center wheel now. The fronts are 15 by 5.5 ET60, and the fronts are 15 by 4 ET65. Look at how far out the face of that wheel sticks. But I only did a 2-inch narrowed beam in the front, so every wheel I tried fitting on the car poked beyond the body. That seemed like the best course of action at the time was to use his brake lathe to cut the centers of the wheels out, tack weld them once we had gotten them moved where we wanted them, and then used his tire balancer as a truing stand to make sure we had everything centered and straight and spinning true. Finish welded them up, wrapped them in tires, and they balanced out perfectly, which is just mental. But yeah, I don't have this aired out right now. I've got the battery disconnected because it's just sitting up in here for winter storage. Don't have any plans to take it anywhere this winter, so here she sits, kind of winterized. Which moves us into what I think will be the next project you see in the shop this winter, at least one that I want to get started on, the 1960 barn find DKW 750, or the DKW Junior. It was almost exactly a year ago when I found this car. Well, technically my Uncle Wayne found this car, found it on Craigslist. And that too was up north in the same town the BMW 700 was languishing in. And this here had been sitting in a barn since 1962. This had sat inside in the same spot for 63 years. Someone had bought the property and was cleaning out the barn out back, and this was sitting in it. I guess there were a couple other cars in there at the time too, and they had sold those off, and this was the last one. It sat on Craigslist for a long time. He was honestly getting close to crushing it. He didn't know what else to do with it. Needed the barn cleaned out. So absolutely insane to me to think that this car sat in that barn all those years, so close to home. My father grew up in this area. I grew up in this area. No one knew it was in there. And look at the state of this thing. Look at the window seals. Well, first, look at the window seals in the 700, which is a car that sat outside in the woods for 40 years, right? I mean, that's pretty indicative of a car that just rotted away outside, right? Look at these window seals. How insane is that? They're basically brand new. Never sat out in the sun or the elements. I'm so stoked to start on this car. Just like the 1000 SP and the 700 actually. I had never seen a lowered one before. There's been a couple 700s done in the last few years, but when my father and I got this car done in 2019, I had never seen a bagged 700 before, never seen a slammed one. And to this day, I haven't seen a Junior done either. So I'm really excited to take this car on and still don't really know what I'm gonna do power plant wise. You know, I've made a few videos speculating what I wanted to do, kind of talking about my thought process. But maybe leave down in the comments below what you guys think I should do for a power plant in this. I really want to get the 2-stroke motor running in this. This has that 3-cylinder 2-stroke front wheel drive, inboard front drum brake setup, which absolutely terrifies me. They're really hard to get parts for. They're super rare, but it's complete. And I'd really love to try to get it running. We kind of gave it a go back when we first got the car, but not a really good go. So maybe before we bin the 3-cylinder 2-stroke, we'll try to get this thing running again. I'm really excited to buff this paint out too. All I've done is wash it and it's already got a sheen to it. So really looking forward to warming this thing up and buffing all this paint out because I think it's gonna look incredible. It's just bizarre to me that all these cars are 1960. I did not plan it that way. The 1000 SP is a 1960, the 700's a 1960, and this thing's a 1960, and they're all fin-tailed German cars. Bizarre. But this, just like the 1000 SP, was a 4-speed manual column shift car. The interior is just insane. Now, naturally, the rodents got to the seats. I've got the bottom of the back seat out because it was just had to go in the bin. The rodents got to all that over the years. I mean, 63 years. JFK was our president when this thing was put in that barn. But the dashboard, the steering wheel, everything's in such great shape. Got a little fender bender. It's got a doing up front, but you guys know I've got another DKW. You'll see that over at my father's shop. And it had a better driver's side front fender on it. Now, I don't think I'm going to use this one. I think I'm going to just work with my buddy Rob from Dent Patrol and try to get this fender as straight as possible, since when we buff the paint out, it'll match the rest of the paint way better than this one will, because this actually sat outside for all those decades. Now, it doesn't have any dents in it, which is awesome. It's got a little bit of rust there. But I kind of want to leave this as wall art. I really do. I'm going to leave everything on it and just hang it up on the wall probably. But we do have a good grill, a better grill out of the other Junior. Worth noting, this is my signature frame. I actually designed that frame and we unveiled it at Interbike in Las Vegas in 2008. Pretty cool that all these years later, whenever I want to get on my bike, I'm actually riding a bike that I designed. Like all the geometry, 76-degree head tube, which was crazy for a street frame back in 2008. This is a 20.5 top tube. I think it's only like a 9-inch standover height. 13.2 back end, which was super short for back in the day. Here we have what I think will find its way into the 1000 SP. We're going to talk about it in the next episode, but we have some serious motor problems in the 1000 SP. And I picked up this Type 3 motor, all thanks to my buddy Ken from Rova Motor Oil. He had some friends who bought a house, and this was sitting in a shed out back. They had no idea what it was. Ken said, "That looks European. I'll send some photos to John." And I said, "Yeah, actually, what do they want for it?" And he said, "Nothing, just come get it." So we have ourselves here a factory Type 3 motor, still with the fuel injection system on it, injectors, everything's factory. Now, I have no idea why this thing was ever taken out of a car. They said the previous owner of the house liked tinkering on his old cars, and this thing was sitting in their shed. So it's got oil in it. It spins freely. It doesn't have any end play. Anyway, that's another part of my junk, but not so junk. We have wheel components. We have wheels. We've got OG Kreger SS's, lots of Volkswagen steering wheels. I collect these. They shouldn't be out here in the garage. I just haven't organized anything yet. BMW 700 steering wheel, Auto Union steering wheel, BMW E23 steering wheel, Corrado steering wheel, which are becoming quite valuable now. Mark 1 Rabbit LS blue interior steering wheel, which is amazing. That's one of my favorites. If I ever have a blue interior Mark 1, you best believe that's going in it. And Motorsport lips. These are BBS Motorsport lips, and the dead giveaway is this curled over edge of the lip here. See how that curls over? Super lightweight, but super strong with that rollover on the lip. 1978 BBS Mollies. You guys saw these on the 1000 SP before I got the E50s. These are 15x7s and 15x8s. Got a couple Type 1 air-cooled Volkswagen Beetle motors here. This is a 1500 single port that my father and I originally put in the BMW 700 before I went to a dual port 1600 that's in it now. This here is a motor that I do believe has been stroked to 1776. I'm not positive on that. We got to tear it down. But a friend of mine and his father built this motor, or were in the process of building it, back 25 years ago and gave it to me. So this might be a hot little motor that's worth building at one point. Chevrolet Corvair starter, which is super expensive. This one works. We bench tested this one. This actually has small block Chevy internals, or might even be a small block Chevy starter with the Corvair nose cone and ears on it. I don't remember. Well, that basically does it for everything I have over here at this shop. Let's head a couple towns over to my father's garage, and I can show you what I got over there for projects and parts cars. It's a nice day out today. It's not totally freezing. Oh, let's talk about this. Kayla's 944. How could I forget? So this here is Kayla's 1983 Porsche 944. This is the first year they were available in North America. So this for us is a first year 944. Don't worry about this. This is one of Ross's cars. I might bag this for him at some point, which I don't normally do for other people, but for Ross, we might help him out on this thing. So anyway, that's a Panamera S. It's a cool car. It'll be available. So if you've been in the market for a Panamera, this will be available soon. But Kayla's 944, such a cool car. We did a full coilover conversion on this. This is normally coil up front and torsion in the rear. We did a full coilover conversion. She rebuilt these BBS RSs herself. She bought all the hardware, the lips, the barrels. We got the centers powder coated. She loves this stuff just like I do, and this car is beautiful. And the BBS RSs are just the most beautiful wheel ever. She's had a few sets of these on some other cars. These two are a three-piece motorsport modular wheel. You know, you get the lip, the center, and the barrel all bolted together. So you can basically build out your offsets, widths, anything you need to fit it to your car. We didn't drive it much this fall. We took it out a bunch this summer. We've driven to Arkansas for the Overcrest Rally through the Ozark Mountains in it, which is what the number 13 sticker is from. Yeah, we've done some serious miles in this car. I'm so stoked she's kept this thing. The color is amazing. This wasn't originally available in 944s. We did a Euro rear bumper on it. So that is the small, not ugly bumper that originally came on these 944s from Europe. We still have the US front bumper on it, but we might change that up as well. But this is a look at Kayla's manual and manual steering rack. The only year they were available with a manual steering rack in 1983, at least here in America. All right, guys, we're over here at my father's shop now where the rest of my junk is. And he's been nice enough to let me leave my junk here. I think the apple didn't fall too far from the tree as he started to clean things up in the yard because he has had a wild collection of what I consider cool stuff. Started thinning that herd out. I then started to fill the yard back up with my what I deem cool stuff. So we're here, we're gonna talk about everything I've got here that I own or that him and I plan to work on together in the future. You'll notice I've got my sweet snow boots on now because some of this stuff isn't totally dug out. I try to come over here every snowstorm I can to make sure things are uncovered. Now in this shop behind me, not only is the garage that my father built by himself in his 20s that I basically grew up in and learned most of everything that I know in, you also notice there's a Greyhound bus sitting here as well. And if you guys are veteran to the channel, you know exactly what this is and what we went through to go get it. And actually how I found it. If I've ever had any true evidence of fate being real, finding this bus is certainly it. So in order to get the whole story, you'll have to go back about 1.5 years ago to when Kayla and I found this thing on a cross-country drive and how my father and I went to go get it. So let's talk about the bus first. Since it's front and center, it is the elephant in the room. Okay, so this is a 1946 flexible clipper bus. These were built in Loudonville, Ohio, all hand built. This one being a 46, I can't help but wonder if this was primarily a female workforce building this bus while the war was still raging in 1945. So it's a pretty crazy era in which this bus was built. This is something I've always wanted. I've always dreamed of having a vintage, cool patinaed bus to put a modern drivetrain in, drive all over the country, but also build a mobile merch store out of. So that's the plan with this bus. I don't want to convert it to an RV like every other vintage bus seems to be converted into. We want to put a modern turbo diesel drivetrain in it. We want to bag it, lower it. You know we like slamming everything here, so I want to go really low with it, but also turn it into a mobile Ludwick's Garage merch store. So in the future when this thing's done, we can take this to a car show, air it out, and you can go inside the bus to shop Ludwick's Garage merch. So that's the overall plan for this thing. I want to keep the patina. This is the original paint from 1946. This sat in Goodland, Kansas, out in the plains. And because it's so dry out there, it didn't rot. The thing is rock solid. There isn't a rust blister anywhere on this thing. All you see is surface rust. just the paint diminishing and then the surface rust starting. There's no actual rot in this bus. So as I mentioned, if you want to know the whole story about this bus, I'll actually link them in the video's description below so you can actually watch those episodes off the jump so you don't have to go searching for them. So no major movement or progress on the bus yet. We've been chiseling away at all the small projects, and as you guys know, the push to get the 1000 SP done for SEMA this past year took precedent, and that's the only thing I focused on. I have a hard time focusing on one project, and I get burnt out on them pretty easily, which is why mid-year last year we saw the Buick LeSabre enter the chat, because I was just burnt out on the 1000 SP and just needed to work on something else, something I could finish in a shorter amount of time. So the Buick LeSabre was a great reset, blank canvas. I re-entered the Auto Union build with like a fresh set, I guess. So we're gonna start on the bus next spring. So since last year this time when I made this video, looking at all the projects and stuff that I own, there are a few new pieces to this whole collection, and this is one of them. You guys already saw the 1960 750 Junior over at my shop. This here is the parts car that came with it. Now, clearly this one did not sit inside for 63 years like the other one did. This sat outside. And I think the two of them kind of traveled to that spot together because that one had some front end damage to the driver's side front. This one, which was in a terrible accident, I believe, the back side of the driver's side is just totally destroyed. The whole car is kind of crooked. But as you saw over at my shop, it had a decent usable front driver's fender and the bumper and the grille and some other usable parts. So I do believe this car was acquired to ultimately sacrifice the good components for the other one, and they just never got to it. So it's pretty crazy to me that we didn't just get one DKW 750 out of that spot. We got two in the same color. And although this one is proper junk, I do really love that this thing is here. I just love old stuff. I don't know. Okay, the Bounder, you guys saw this in last year's video too, has not moved since. This is the 1993 Bounder motorhome that we bought to basically be the donor chassis and drivetrain for the flexible Clipper bus. Now this, much like the Flexible, is a pusher, and this has a 12-valve 6BT Cummins turbo diesel in it with an Allison 4-speed transmission, and that's what we're going to basically put underneath the Flexible bus. This has an Oshkosh chassis under it. We do need to shorten the wheelbase a little bit to make it fit under the Flexible. We've got some drivetrain length issues that we're trying to solve right now. But that's why this thing is here. So although there were a lot of people kind of disheartened that we were going to full-blown scrap this motorhome, it's had a lot of water damage over the years, and the inside is literally mold. And these things are a dime a dozen here in America, so we have no issues whatsoever crumpling this thing up with my dad's excavator and putting it in a dumpster. So we'll be tearing this thing apart here very shortly. All right, so on the back side of the Bounder here, I'll do this freehand because it's kind of tight back here. We have my late model Volkswagen Fastback, the Type 3. A subscriber gave me this car from Hialeah. His name's Pep, just in the Miami area. And we were already in South Florida for the Euro Tripper show in Fort Myers. So we drove across Alligator Alley because this would fit on my 24-foot trailer with the 64 Beetle that I had at the time, and scooped this thing up. Yes, I absolutely love the patina. The hood is just Swiss cheese. The patina is so cool on this thing though. Sold in Tennessee originally, right in Tullahoma. It still has the dealership badge on it, which is so cool. Check this out. Volunteer, Tullahoma, Tennessee, and the O in the Volunteer badge is a Volkswagen emblem. That one's gonna be saved for sure. So I have no idea when this car actually ran down the road last, but my father and I actually got it running. While in Tennessee, he'd come down, I think to pick up a truck or something. And while he was there, we tinkered on this thing and got it running. It sounds great. Now, I know a lot of people keep asking me when I'm gonna get to this car. Unfortunately, I don't think I am. This thing is just rotted. I mean, you saw the hood, but underneath is totally gone. I don't think I'm gonna bother actually trying to build this car. If it was an early model, I might entertain it. So I am gonna keep it. I love the patina. I love it as yard art. One of these days, maybe we'll put some cool wheels under it and set it down on the ground out by the shop somewhere, just as some yard art. So for now, it's a rolling steering storage facility for the Type 3 motor in the back, which I'm sure will find its way into another project at some time. This is gonna live on as Ludwick's Garage yard art, which I am really excited about because it is so cool. Next to it, you may remember the square body Chevy out of my Uncle Tim's paving fleet that he gave me. We originally thought we were going to use the chassis under this for my 52 Chevy cab over project, which yes, I still have. No, it's still not done. No, I haven't been working on it. I'm sorry. We've kept this thing around. It's a Florida truck originally, so it's got some pretty solid panels on it. The frame is solid, two-wheel drive dually, 3500. C30. The chassis might get used. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to use this thing for. But on the back side of my father's old towing magnetic sign is my uncle's old paving livery. So cool. Then we have the Greenbriers. Again, these haven't moved since last year's video, unfortunately. I do want to get to one of these things. This first one here sat in a friend's local junkyard right here in my hometown after living most of its life in California. Once it came to the East Coast, he put it up on the back of a ramp truck and it sat out in the woods behind his house for decades. So although it's in pretty rough looking shape, it's pretty solid. It doesn't have a ton of rust. Underneath isn't rotted. This one here was like a work van option. You'll notice the taillight is only on the sides. It doesn't work its way onto the barn door. Whereas this green one, my father bought this off a marketplace because it was a smoking deal a couple years ago. You'll notice the lights travel onto the doors here. Some of you Greenbrier guys might know more than me, but all I do know is this never had them. So I guess they didn't have backup lights at all. This one came with a couple of motors. The Greenbrier motor orientation is a little bit different than the Corvairs. And if you don't know, it's actually worth noting that these are Corvairs. This is the van version of the Corvair. So it has a flat six air-cooled motor in the back underneath the false floor, which is wild. And they're pretty rare. And it's pretty crazy that we have two of them. I do think if we get to any of them, it'll be this green one first. This one is complete. It's also rust-free for the most part. Underneath is incredibly solid. And yeah, we might get to that one. I really kind of want to get on that soon, but DKW next, the bus after that, and then maybe this. I don't know. Still have my 1970 Beetle. Sitting under this tarp isn't doing it any good, but honestly, this will never see the road again either. A friend of mine gave it to me, unfinished project, lots of rot in the window sills, like lots of rot in the body. But it's a late IRS pan. So I've been keeping it around just in case we end up doing something else Beetle panned. It's not exactly what I build the business model off of, but it's come in handy a couple times already. So if we keep this thing around, it might find its way under something really bizarre and really cool. We have a four-wheel drive S10 frame. This has been here for a while too. My dad's been keeping this around for a long time in case we want to S10 frame swap something, which he has. He's got a late model Corvair in his shop that he's put a two-wheel drive S10 frame under with a V8 in the front. So that thing is a rowdy car that will hopefully be running and driving next summer. That's a look at the vehicles back here. The Greenbriers are just so cool. I come over here every time it snows to make sure I clean them off. We have some tarps underneath that they're sitting on, so underneath stays a little bit more dry than it would if they were just sitting in the dirt. All right, so my lav mics died, so you'll have to bear with me. The rest of this episode will be using the camera microphone, so audio levels might have changed. This here is a 2003 Ford E350 with a 7.3 Power Stroke in it. And that is the last year that Ford put the Power Stroke in any of their rigs. A lot of people say that the late Power Strokes were the best ones they ever built. Well, this is the last year that they used the Power Stroke. I know they did different connecting rods in a couple different years or something, that 03 might not be the best, but it's a late model Power Stroke, which is why we picked this up. My father and I went in together on this. A friend of his owns a construction company, and this was only driving from job site to job site. And then they just stopped using it. And it just sat for about a year, and they sold it to us for dirt cheap. I mean, like real cheap. So rather than just flipping it, we decided to get it running, which didn't take much work at all. Thing sounds amazing. We got it moving around the property here. And we decided to keep it because it's only got 60,000 miles on it. So now we have a 60,000 mile 7.3 Power Stroke on a two-wheel drive dually chassis sitting around, ready to swap under something. So who knows, maybe one of these days here on the channel, you'll see us Power Stroke swap something. Maybe we put one in one of the Greenbriers. My father still has these really cool old aluminum U-Haul boxes. These were box trucks way back in the day. This one's actually still a full truck. It's an old F350, like a 77 or 78. Such a cool rig. These boxes are really cool. Down in the woods here, one of my father's Chevelles, Malibus. Oh. So I got the snow boots on. Back a few years ago, you saw us extricate his other 68 Chevelle out of here, which the back half of is over here, which we'll see here very shortly. My 66 late model Corvair, sacrificial parts donor. A lot of these parts have ended up on my chop top Corvair. We used the front cross member as like an experimental cross member because we built custom control arms and tension rods and a bunch of custom stuff under the car to get it to lay body when it aired out. So this one I've been robbing parts off of for years. Not quite ready to get rid of it because it's still got good parts on it, and Corvair parts are super expensive. The mini tank. Some of you know, my father and I scratch built this body on a little go-kart chassis about 16 years ago, and it fit in the back of my Volkswagen Fox wagon that I had custom built coilovers under. But some of you guys may remember this. This was actually featured with my Fox wagon in the November of 2011 issue of Eurotuner magazine. I still have it. Shouldn't skim over some of these parts. A lot of these parts should be in undercover. These are some 700 parts I have. Hood, doors, fenders. I've basically got a whole nother BMW 700 I could put together if I needed to. So I've been keeping these parts around in case, heaven forbid, anything happened to any body panels on my 700. So been keeping those around. They really do need to go inside. This is my reminder to do just that. All right, over here, the project that's been sitting here the longest untouched and arguably my favorite, which is really too bad. This is my 1952 5-window Chevy cab over. My dad and I also went to Ohio to get this one. I feel like half of the stuff I own came from Ohio. But this was a complete truck when I bought it. It hadn't run in many years. It had a 292 straight 6 in it with an updraft carburetor. It was all stock, basically. And we took the cab off and put it down over this 1995 second gen Dodge 3500 chassis. It's a dually long wheelbase chassis with a 6BT 12 valve Cummins turbo diesel in it. This has an NV 4500 5-speed manual in it. You can see a lot of the fabrication we'd already started. Custom pedal box, bag mounts here. That block of wood is basically where the airbag will go. We built a custom drop axle and drop steering assembly. We decided to keep a straight axle onto the front. This might change as we dive into this whenever we get back to it. I don't know. The whole plan was a body dropped and bagged car hauler. And yes, I do need to finish it. I made a video recently buying a pair of cab over doors that were local to me in the local junkyard here. Mostly for wall art because it's got some really cool hand painted signage of a local garage on them, but they both have good glass in them. And my truck does not have good glass. Both doors have broken glass. So I've got window regulators and good glass to go in these doors, and then the other doors can continue to just be wall art. 5-window cab, long wheelbase chassis. The original plan was flatbed car hauler, so a car would ride on the back of the truck here. Not sure if we're going to continue to go that route. A lot of people do. Or if we just put a 5th wheel on the back here, 5th wheel hitch, and it just ends up being a bagged, extended chassis, long frame cab over that hauls a really cool vintage trailer behind it. I don't know about that. But that is the cab over. It still exists. It still exists. I feel terrible that it sits out here outside, but we will get to it. This thing will drive down the road. I'm not going to forget about this thing. Too many projects. This is the problem. This is the back half to that 68 Chevelle that my father had sitting in the woods over there since before I was born. They were sitting in there for 45 years, I think, 45 years. And when he hauled them in there, they had rotted frames. So in the early 80s, when he hauled those things in, they were parts cars. And so we pulled one of them out. The other one was just so rotted, we couldn't hardly move it. But this is the rear clip to the 68 that we did pull out. And it is the coolest little back half piece. I mean, I want to mount this to the wall or make something out of it. The patina is amazing. My dad thought about selling it. I don't know if I'll let him sell it. I might have to buy it off him if he wants to sell it, because this is just a really, really cool piece of shop art. It still has the emblem on it, some of the trim, even the dealership it was sold at. And I wonder if this was sold used at this dealership, because that was a Mopar dealership. Moving over to what is the last of my father's tow truck fleet that he still owns. This 4-wheel drive square body Chevy. My father owned a towing business from 1978 right up through like 2012, I think. He was still towing. And this here was his 4-wheel drive, bad weather, we're gonna go pull anything that needs to get pulled out. Truck. He had a lot of more modern medium duty trucks, like some Caterpillar powered medium duty tow trucks and ramp trucks. He had an old Top Kick with a Cat turbo diesel in it, but he always had some 1-tons in the fleet. And this square body just ended up sticking around. And now that I do this, like the whole car thing, I don't want him to get rid of this. I want this thing to stick around. Now, it's obviously pretty rusty. I don't remember what the state of the frame is, but cab corners, rockers, I'm sure the floors are all gone in it. But I want to keep the doors, fenders, the hood, keep the patina. I mean, a lot of this will clean up. A lot of this is just from sitting under the trees. You can see underneath the handles here, it's not quite as grimy, I guess. But you'll notice on all the Ludwick's garage gear, we always talk about Route 3, Meredith, New Hampshire. That's where I'm from. My dad ran his business right out of this garage here. So I want this to stay in the family. I want to do something with this truck one day, whether or not it stays 4-wheel drive and it's lifted, or we 2-wheel drive chassis it and slam it. Leave in the comments below what you think we should do with this in the future. This is all way in the future. I got too much stuff. This whole video is just a reminder of how much time and money all this stuff's going to require to get all this stuff done. But should we keep this 4-wheel drive, maybe lift it, pizza cutter tires, or should we lower it? I think lowering it would be pretty sweet. A little slammed square body twin cable tow truck with the old school lights. These are the rotator lights. These aren't even like the flashers. I think it's a manual too. I don't want the frame to come apart. Ooh. It is 3-speed with granny gear. So cool. Yep. Yeah, I definitely want to do something with this truck in the future. Just keep the last bit of his tow fleet alive in the family. And it'd be just a cool, handy vehicle to have around the yard, you know? Like, it's got a wheel lift on it, so we can easily move things around in and out of the shop. Yep, this one's staying in the family. All right, we're down to the last couple of the fleet here. This one here is a 1967 4-door late model Corvair. I bought this while I was still living down in Tennessee. This originally came from Texas, and then I found it in Georgia. It was on Marketplace. Paid a little bit too much for it. Well, I say that because it turns out the motor was seized up, and I didn't know it at the time. I thought it just had a bad starter solenoid. I brought a jump pack, an extra battery. It is rot-free. It's got surface rust, you know. It's had a bad paint job at some point, but I bought it because it was a solid, rot-free 4-door late model Corvair with a manual. And those are really hard to find. They only made the 4-door late model Corvairs for 2 years, I think, and the manuals are even harder to find. So, white exterior, blue interior. It would only click when I tried to start it before I bought it, and thinking wrongfully that it was just a starter solenoid, it turned out to be a seized motor, which is so uncommon for these air-cooled motors. It had oil in it. I thought for sure this thing would have been fine, but unfortunately she's stuck. She's real stuck too. Which brings us to the convertible up ahead of it. My father got this for dirt cheap. I mean, like a couple $100. This one is a rot box, so don't get too attached to this thing. This is a Bondo buggy, as he calls it, literally filled with Bondo, and the undercarriage is completely gone. But this has a 4-speed manual gearbox in it, and we got the motor running. So we've actually driven this thing around the yard, and I've basically told him I'd pay him what he had for the car for just the motor. And we could put that motor in this Corvair, and then he can part the rest of this Corvair out and recoup all of his money and then some. So if you're watching this and you're a Corvair guy, if you're looking for any parts off of this, my email address is also in the video's description. So email me if you're looking for any parts on an early model convertible. Perhaps this upcoming year, we might take a week to drop that motor in this and get this thing running and driving. You know, I mean a week as far as filming it and doing all that too. But going through the brakes, getting that motor in this one, and yeah, getting this thing back on the road, because I'd love to bag this, put it on some cool wheels, and then sell it to one of you guys. I just had to have a 4-door. I got a problem with cool patina and cool cars, and I just couldn't say no. Knowing it's got a stuck motor, I paid too much for it, but it is what it is. We'll do something cool with it one of these days. It is just such a cool car. Man, the doors, they don't make doors that heavy anymore. Dual bench seat front, bench seat in the rear. Door cards are so cool. Yeah, man, I would love to just get this thing running and cruise it for the summer. Maybe not get rid of it right away. Coolest part about these four-door late model Corvairs is they're pillarless. So when you've got both doors closed and all the windows down, it's just got this wide open cabin look to it. I really always wanted to suicide rear door one of these cars. So you can open both doors this way. It's just wide open, like an old Lincoln Continental. We'll see. This one hopefully wouldn't take too long. I'm hoping this project could get shoehorned in between some of the big projects, like amidst the bus and the DKW or something. Put the motor in it, go through the brakes, lower her down, and then just cruise it. All right, guys, well, that's another look, a year-end look at all of my projects, all the automotive stuff I have, stuff that my father and I have together, stuff that we'll tackle together as well, including the bus, which hopefully you'll see real soon. I want to thank all of you guys so much for all of your continued support and for watching the channel, continuing to tune in. This whole thing is so much work, and I really appreciate all of you guys watching and commenting, subscribing to the Patreon, following along on Instagram, buying the merch, all of it. All of it helps keep the lights on and helps me continue to make videos and to build some of these cars. So I hope all of you and your loved ones had a great holiday season. I hope you have a great new year. Make 2026 the year that you guys achieve your goals. Don't stop working hard. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You can achieve anything you set your minds to. I've got a lot of big announcements for 2026. Can't wait to share them with you guys. Also can't wait to show you what we picked up in Florida. Yeah, leave that down in the comments below. What do you think I bought in Florida that I couldn't live without? But also leave down in the comments what your favorite project I have is. What do you guys want to see me work on? What are you excited to see done or that I'm currently working on? Out of everything you saw here in this video today, let me know what is your favorite. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you in the next episode starting 2026.